I'm going to get to the point where how I run my business is so kindergarten simple that it kind of shocks me that I've never made a video about it. It was actually writing my book that made me think, oh yeah, this is how easy it is to run a rental business. I should make a video. And here we are. Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. How do I run my rentals? This is not going to be a BS video where I Googled what do landlords do. I'm actually going to tell you how I run my rentals. I have 18 units. I live in one, so I rent out 17. I travel to countries where the internet is not always great. I scuba dive a lot, and I am rarely sitting at a computer. And if I'm at a computer, I probably have World of Warcraft on and not some stupid spreadsheet. I will cover my spreadsheet in this video, but that's not how I run my rentals. The first thing is I call this my vision book. A lot of people have a vision board, and in your vision board, you put in things that you want to acquire. What I do in this is I put in all of the information for each property, a picture of the property, then I section out about 10 pages. Inside the book, not for me, is all of the information somebody might need if one of my exes finds me, or if Adam finally takes me out. But each page has the mortgage, the insurance policy number, the current tenant's names, what the rents are, a layout of the property, explaining which unit goes to what yard is responsible for what tenant to take care of. But that's not how I run my rentals. That's a physical thing that nobody needs access to, my phone or a computer or a laptop or a thumb drive to figure out, well, what is his portfolio when they inherit it? So the executor of my will knows where the book is. Then I actually have in my free course called the Binder Strategy, which you can find at diontalk.com. I made a course. It's free. It's how you get your tenants to ask you to raise the rent. I have a spreadsheet that you can have for free. It's very simple. Like, this is kindergarten simple. I have a tab at the top for the rents. This is income. I have the properties listed out here, the units that pay water, if the city has utilities, and that has to be in the owner's name. Then I have a tab for expenses. And I'll break this down where the payment type, how did I pay for it? Was it ACH, a credit card? Was it cash? I put the date of the transaction so I can search by month if I need to. What store did I buy it at? How much did I spend at Lowe's this year? The price and tax have to be separate because tax is a different type of write-off than an expense that you have when you buy something for your rentals. Then what it's assigned to. Was this an expense for a rental, or was this for YouTube, or was this for the other side hustle that I have? And then notes. Clearly detailed in the notes so that the CPA who helped me design this spreadsheet, so it had information they needed and I needed, they can understand, is this something that is amortized depreciation, bonus depreciation, scheduled depreciation, all of those words I don't even want to know what they mean. That's why I hire a pro. But that spreadsheet is not how I run my business. It's not how anybody should run their business. Chester. I have a list of handymen that I work with constantly. A revolving list, because handymen, their life either implodes or improves and they stop being handyman. And so I have at least 3 that I can contact. They let me travel. They are the reason why I can sleep at night, because they can go and solve the problems. I'm not the one going to solve a toilet issue at 11 o'clock at night. They're the ones who make money to do it. I'm happy to pay them, so I get that peace of mind. But handymen don't run my business. I have a list of contractors. The electricians with 7-day-a-week service. The plumbers with 7-day-a-week, 24 hours a day service. In advance, before the issue pops up, I've got the ones that I would call. But I don't run my business through contractors. They're all essential. They are important. Like buying a rental property, making sure you run the math right. That's important. But it's not how I run my business. Setting expectations with tenants early on when we sign a lease, not only to go over everything in the lease, what's their responsibility, what they're protected from in the lease. I point out if the property is ever sold, the lease is between you and the property. The new owner has to abide by the lease. One of the things I do to get my tenants to sign a longer lease, which keeps my lenders happy. But a lease is not how I run the business. Telling tenants they shouldn't contact me with a phone call unless it's going to have 3 words included, right? I prefer an email, Texting is okay, but if it's going to be a phone call, the conversation needs to include one of these three words: fire, flood, or blood. Pretty sure the first time I heard that, I think Ken McElroy said it in an interview one time. So I don't get credit for those three words, but I've incorporated that into my rentals so that tenants communicate with me through email or text and a phone call, maybe after they call 911. But communication with tenants is not how I run my business. I'm going to get to the point where how I run my business is so kindergarten simple that it kind of shocks me that I've never made a video about it. It was actually writing my book that made me think, oh, yeah, this is how easy it is to run a rental business. I should make a video. And here we are. It's not the software, right? I used apartments.com before they bought out Cozy. I was using Cozy before that. I've used Zillow. I've got four properties. I want to say about a third of my properties, whatever that math is, on the Hemlane platform. And so that's making some of it easier. But software, like a spreadsheet or a book, is not how you run a business. It's not how I collect the rents. There is a dopamine hit that happens every time that my bank account plays vertical pong that first week of the month, and then a couple payments come in the middle of the month because tenants have interesting lives. Rent collection is great. It's the blood flow of the business, the cash flow that lets me retire early and travel and do what I want. But collecting rents and setting expectations with tenants in a spreadsheet and a book and software, none of that is how I run the business. It is definitely not by having a property manager. There's two main reasons why I self-manage, even though I'm a self-entitled lazy investor. The first one is I like money. And in a lot of cases, when you're buying with leverage, your property manager will make more money than the investor does. No thanks. If you invest at a distance, like Frank and Cynthia, absolutely. Or Millennial Mike, don't straddle yourself with work from a distance like that. Put a property manager in place. Makes total sense. I invest locally. But the other thing I don't like about property managers is they profit from turnover, and they turnover is an expense to me. So I don't run my business with a property manager because it would probably take me more time to manage a property manager than it does to manage my 17 tenants because of how I can set expectations, how I can use the binder strategy to improve communications, to keep happy tenants. This is, no kidding, how I run my business. And this is so kindergarten simple. You're going to want to take notes. Everything for my rental real estate business, as far as running the rentals, this isn't exactly how I acquire properties. Right? Acquiring properties is auto searches with agents, sitting and looking at emails and doing the members only videos and looking at how to look at a deal. But how do I actually run my business? I don't have an app. I don't have a spreadsheet. I mean, I have a spreadsheet, but it's not how I run my business. How I run my business is the contact section of my phone. If you haven't done this, let me know if you slapped yourself in the forehead when you realized how easy life can be. Every property I own is a contact. I'm not saying my handyman have a contact, because duh, your handyman need to have a contact. The contractors you work with should have a contact. The plumber you haven't even called yet, but you've looked at their website, checked their prices, should be in your contacts. What I'm talking about is the nickname for the property that you're going to think of when somebody calls and says, hey, somebody drove through the fence. I'll go to my phone and I'll go Tumwater, Unit 1 or Unit A or Unit B or whatever it is, the nickname of the property, as my brain would think of it. So I'm not trying to remember an address or a stupid zip code, because how many times have we had to look up the zip code for one of our own properties because I don't know them all. But in the note section, I've got the mortgage information. I've got the insurance information. I've got notes on when the handyman and contractors were there at the property, what they did, what work is to be scheduled in the future. For every unit, there is a contact. Yeah, my tenants probably have contacts, but tenants turn over and roll away. I have properties that I'm hoping perform better than all of my marriages. Actually, until death do us part. It is so easy to run a rental business with the contact section of your phone. Where are you where you don't have access to that? It works without internet. You can open up the contact section and see the notes. You can use a landline if you have to, if you're actually out there where my friend is in Machu Picchu right now, trying to figure out how to breathe at that elevation. But if there's information that you need, you can go through WhatsApp. You might not even have access to your cell phone for your emails. There might be a reason why it's not working, or you might not have the email contact of who you're trying to get a hold of. But that contact section of your phone with a breakdown of every property. If you're my age, you might remember when phones had a limit to the number of people you could put in your contacts. But now, when you lose your phone and you get another one, all of your contacts are already in there with all of the notes. I've got about 4 phones now where the information from 2013 is still in my phone. Have you done this? Have you simplified your business so much that the device that you don't even go to the bathroom without is always with you? Has the information you need without having to have access to the internet, without having to have access to your emails, without having to text anybody, or even Google the name of the plumber or the electrician. You can literally go to your contacts and say, in the contact section for the plumber, what town do they live in? What town is their business out of? You could save yourself a trip charge by knowing of the plumbers you've recorded the data on, which one of your properties are they closest to? Well, I have things like the book and the spreadsheet for the CPA. That phone is how I can walk away from a job with a bad memory and run a rental business with 17 rentals and sleep like a baby and travel wherever I want with 0 issues so far. I've been in Portugal replacing refrigerators and water heaters. The first time there, it seemed like everything wanted to happen all with 3 refrigerators and 4, it was either 3 or 4 refrigerators or hot water heaters at the same time on that trip, all handled from the phone because I had the data before the issue popped up. Again, this is so kindergarten simple. When you run a business like this, you can make it as complicated or as simple as you want. And if you don't have contacts in your phone with all of the information in the note section that you're going to need, and you don't know what you're going to need, because that car that went through the fence, does that tenant have a pet? Is it an emergency to get the fence back up today so that they have a place for the pet to go? Do you remember? Do they have kids? I don't remember any of that. But all of the notes are in the tenant's contact information, the note section. All of the property's information is in the note section. It's such a powerful tool, but everybody wants an app or a website or a spreadsheet. Use your phone how it's meant to be used. It holds information that you don't have to remember.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.